What's up, everybody? Coach Stefan here. I got our special guest on, Coach Riley. She is our holistic health coach and really the only female coach in pursuit. Say what's up.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
I brought her on because she's a female, and today we want to cover basically in this training how to be a confident woman in the gym. If you are a woman, you probably know this, and I know this is a very generalization, but just bear with us here. A lot of women, in my opinion, do struggle with confidence in the gym. It's a male-dominated space, 100%. Like it is. Go to any gym, okay? That's kind of why some over the last couple of years in the industry, I say this was years ago, but like they've been popping up like female-only gyms. They don't really have male-only gyms. Well, they have that for a reason because women kind of want a safe space, but that might not be an option. And honestly, my opinion is that's probably not the best place. I'm not saying it's bad at all. Like they have Fit Body Boot Camp, which I think is not Fit Body Boot Camp, Burn Boot Camp, which is like female only group hit. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I just think, and if that's your safe space, I'm actually think that's awesome. Wherever you get in your workout, that's fine. But some women don't have that option. Some women don't want that option. They want to go to their local gym and they want to feel confident there. And so Riley's trained people in person for years, still does at our gym in Gilbert, actively trains tons and tons of women online, has had awesome transformations. And since she's a female herself, I want her to kind of take over a lot of this and talk to you guys about how to be a confident woman in the gym. Maybe some of the things that she's had to go through herself. And please let us know. And then also what she's doing actively with her clients. But before we dive in, I will say I've worked with both sexes, males and females, through training the last 13 years. And it's actually been a pretty good split. Like I've trained a lot of females, and kind of the number one general theme, and just giving you some ideas to kind of talk on too that I hear is women sometimes are kind of comfortable in the gym, but there's certain areas in the gym where they feel uncomfortable, like the free weight section. So they kind of stick to the machines, like they'll go, but they'll just kind of do, what they want. And I feel like that's been a really hard thing in the fitness industry, because what happens is women will not do the exercises that they should do to get stronger because they're scared, right? They're not lifting like the guys, and the guys are getting stronger and gaining muscle. And yeah. So kind of walk us through, I guess I would love to hear actually your journey with like being more confident. I know you're super confident at the gym. Share with us how that went for you.
I think personally for myself, it started with group fitness classes and going in the section where
Mhm.
there's no free weights, there's no squat racks, like it's like a whole separate area and it's just like the flat ground and basically doing like body weight workouts. Like that's where I started, just to get used to just being in the space of a gym. But I realized that the reason why I wasn't where I was at is because I wasn't in the part of the gym that I needed to be
Yeah.
to actually make progress. So I needed to be honest with myself and ask myself, where am I limiting myself? Because there's a reason why I'm not where I'm at. And I had to be honest with myself, like, where are my limits? And I had to really focus on creating a solution mindset and looking at my problems. My problems was I had some fears around being in the big gym with all the guys. And I was scared to take up space in that area or honestly do something new, because there's a lot of feelings that come up with doing something new around what if I fail? What if it doesn't work out? All these
Sure.
other things. And that was truly limiting me. So I had to actually recreate a belief in myself that gave me the confidence to finally step in there. And it's just like anything, it's just like a new job. Once you're in your job and you're doing it for a while, you gain that confidence, you know what you're doing. So it's just always retraining and rewiring that belief in myself to bring into the gym of it's a different situation, but very similar experience and outcome. And that's what really like grounded me into the confidence. And
Mhm.
now I can pretty much go into any gym. I mean, sometimes there might be feelings around being scared, but
Yeah.
I think that's a huge thing for a lot of women. Like a lot of women coming to me, especially online. Online can be really scary of I don't know if my form's gonna be right. I don't know if I'm gonna injure myself. I've never been in the weight room. I've never done weights.
Uh,
And a lot of those I don't want to say excuses, but I also will just, put them under the umbrella of, excuses of that self honesty with yourself of where are we limiting ourselves? You
Yeah.
came to us, you came to pursue it for a reason because you're not where you're at. So let me hear the thoughts that are limiting yourself and let's figure out a solution so we're not getting in the way of our own selves so we can actually reach our goals. So it's
Sure.
a lot of breaking down into like, where are those limitations? Okay, let's talk about it. What's the solution? And now it's the action and how are we going to do the action? How are you going to think and how are you going to go into it? What's that game plan when you're going into it or the
Yeah.
leading plan to it?
Yeah. I mean, for sure. And I would say a limiting belief, it's an excuse. And I know that's like, it's kind of can be a triggering word. Like
Yeah.
it's a kind of attacking word, right? Like it's an excuse. No, 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 no. An excuse is just a barrier. It could be mental. It could be physical. It could be situational. Like if you got in a car accident and died, that's an excuse why you didn't make it to work. Uh, Right? Like that is something that's a barrier. Like you didn't go. I know it's the most extreme example, but like an excuse isn't always something that's like, and I want to dive too far into this, but isn't always something that's like valid. I talk about this a lot, right? Us being kind of mindset coaches, but excuse can be a real thing. And sometimes there's really no solutions to it. But in this case, right, the excuse is I don't have the confidence, right? Or I believe this thing. It's okay. Not attacking you, but it is stopping you possibly from taking action. And because you can't take action, you can't get to where you want to go. That's what you're saying, right? And
Mhm.
so breaking past those barriers, and yeah, a lot of what we do is talking to our clients. So walk us through that, right? Because people might be listening to this and say, "Yeah, okay, you're a coach. This is literally what you do. What about me? Like, have you had clients, specifically females that come to you that really don't have a lot of experience in the gym? You're like, hey, do these workouts through the app. Like, how's that process been?
Mhm. I think the biggest thing is a lot of females come in and they're wanting just to do home workouts, and they tell
Mm,
me their goals. They wanna tone up, they wanna lose body fat, they wanna be strong and have that muscle show, and absolutely, like, you can make progress doing home workouts. I know I believe that just being consistent, following a plan, it can get you to where you want to, but the sounds of that goal, you need a little bit more than a home workout.
sure.
And also depends on the equipment that you have, but I feel like that's probably the biggest thing is coming into it with, the fears around being in the gym and just coming into it of I want home workouts. And so that's when I start asking the questions of why do you want home workouts? And then, what comes up is I've never been in the gym. I'm going to hurt myself because I don't have you in person with me. I don't know if the form's going to be correct. All these excuses, excuses, excuses that come up. And then my question is, okay, this is your goal. This is where you want to be. Are you okay with not reaching it to the point where you want to reach it? Like if you want to reach in a couple of months, are you okay with that being a lot longer? Are you okay with limiting your expectations of what you want?
Mhm.
And usually that's where everything comes up and it's like, no,
Yeah.
I don't want that. So then it's like, okay, I need you to be I know it's difficult, I know it's hard, but this is where we need to be honest with ourselves. We need to be honest with ourselves of now we need to switch up the script. We need to
Yep.
switch up the script of, okay, that's not what you want, so we're not going to settle in that area. And we're going to use that to drive you into going into the gym and to get to the weights, to the squat rack, to the bench press.
Yeah.
So I think
No.
that's a really big question that kind of opens the eyes to, oh, yeah, no, that's not what I want. You're right. This is what I want. And I know that I have to do that. Now I need to
Sure.
do that.
Yeah. And I mean, if we're being honest, ladies, right? If you're a guy, this might be pertinent for your spouse or one of your friends that's a girl, but I think it's a place of comfort too, right? Like that's why the home workouts. And I see it with men. They're like, oh, it'd be so convenient and comfortable. Well, that's your problem. That's your problem. Your problem is you're syncing everything that's convenient and comfortable. And a fitness journey is not supposed to be convenient and comfortable. at least in the beginning, right? At least till you've made substantial progress. And I love the analogy. I've used that same one. When you first get a brand new job, the first month usually is pretty miserable. Like as far as stress, right? You're like, oh my God, all these new things and these systems and the process is like, yeah, you suck at your job the first month. It's okay. Everybody expects that. That's why there's leniency and there's leeway. You probably weren't a very good mom the first month as far as like your experience. You have a kid that's 3, you're like, oh, I got this under control, right? Like anything new, it's okay that we're not good. It's okay we suck a little bit. And I think there's a huge stigma and fear also around judgment, right? And I could tell you, and I've talked about this before, and Riley could probably back me up. The people in the gym that you're most worried about aren't judging you. I mean, I'm not saying people aren't looking at you, and I think people just are judgmental, like not in even a negative connotation. Like we just look and we observe and we analyze, right? But like most fit people are actually really happy to see you in the gym and want you to do better. Even the girls, I know women are competitive with women. And I'm sure there's some that are super judgy and it's uncomfortable. But the thing is, like, if you have these goals, are you going to let some random person that you don't even know their first name that's super fit, like stop you from reaching those goals? Right. Or is that kind of an inspiration for you? And basically what Riley's saying, and tell me if I'm wrong, is like, she's going through this mindset thing with her clients where she's like, hey, do you want to be here? Cool. So in order to get there, what you're describing, getting toned, is building muscle, reducing body fat. That is much better done and in a quicker fashion by lifting actual weights with progressive overload, which is really hard to be done at home. Can you do it? Yes, but it will take longer. It's going to be a more painful process, and you actually might not achieve your goal. Like the percentage drops, right? And so at that point, they're like, oh, maybe I do need to go to the gym. And it's a process, right? It's something to where, cool, it's okay to be uncomfortable. And it's online coaching specifically, and this is both with men and women. There's a lot of like, how do I do that? And like, I need somebody there. And, I talk about this a lot, but like in-person training is not terrible, but it does create a lot of dependency. And we have women that come through our program, never been in the gym before, like ever. And 5 months down the road, they've lost 30 pounds. Their confidence was a 1 out of 10. Now it's a 6 out of 10. So 600% increase. They get their first pull up. They start to feel like I belong here. And men, I could tell you from a guy standpoint, they still go through that. Okay. And in fact, and this isn't a saying one is worse than the other, but like men sometimes even have it worse because a guy goes in there, he's skinny, he's like big jack dude, same sex. It's like, I should be like that, and I know there's super fit women too. But like we both deal with that, both sexes. So what would you say the biggest like turning point is, right? Because you do train clients that have all different experience, right? Some that are pretty experienced, some that are moderate, some that are beginners. Let's talk about more of the beginner and moderate. Like maybe they've gone to the gym before, done some group fitness classes. What do you see the biggest like turning point with their mindset and progress when you work with them?
I would say definitely asking, that self-honest question with yourself. And the next parts I would say are more in terms of continuously being honest with your excuses
Mm.
and staying true to your word. Always matching those together with honesty around your excuses. Second is staying true to your word in terms of actions is third. So getting all those three in line, I think that's where true confidence ends up coming from, because then you can start to trust yourself. You realize your capabilities and you realize that your excuses really aren't labeling you. They're not true. And it just really puts everything together because then you
Yeah.
realize, oh yeah, I can do this. So I can do it into another gym. I can do it if I'm on vacation, and I can do it in the hotel gym. And that's where these clients that we have
Yeah.
from Pursuit were never in the gym that they're doing. Now they're on vacation and they're able to go to all these other gyms as well, because now they understand that they can learn how to be a little bit more comfortable in the discomfort.
Sure. Yeah, and you said something too. Another C word that you can replace confidence with is capability, right? I mean, that's what confidence is when we boil it down. Like, how confident are you that you're capable, right? Like, I can do this. I don't know, or like I am this, or I don't know if I'm this, right? So that like capability and truth around it. Um, the the more you can close that distance, the more confident you are. And that does take
Mhm.
execution. It takes practice. But if you guys are listening to this, the number one thing, this is somebody that helps women transform every single day. It's a mindset shift. She didn't say, oh, when they start hitting more volume, or when they do these reps, or when they have follow this specific diet. No, 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 no. It's a belief system. That's the most powerful thing. And on the podcast, we talk a lot about belief systems and the internal dialogue and narrative, because it is that important. It's the number one thing. So basically, what Coach Riley's saying that I'm hearing from you is that when these women like are brutally honest, right? Like calling themselves out, right? Like, that was kind of an excuse, and I know I could make that work. Like that's when you see the biggest shift.
I would say when we're in be honest about those areas, especially with others, with me, that is liberation. That is freedom. Now that shows you that you are not controlled by that excuse. You are not controlled by staying stuck in the past or stuck in that place where you don't want to be. Now you are liberated and you are free, and there is room to grow and now to get you to that space of moving the needle forward in that direction. And I also think it's super important to almost have these expectations when you're going into that space of, yeah, there probably is going to be failure. Yeah, you're going to have emotions of being scared, of being intimidated. That is all normal to feel, and that most likely is going to happen. That's going to show up. And that's just the truth of kind of the approach and the steps to it. And that kind of takes a lot of ease off too, of like understanding like, oh, okay, I'm not crazy, there's nothing wrong with me, like this is a part of the process. I think that is really helpful to understand as well too.
Yeah. For sure, right? Setting realistic expectations. And I tell people I don't coach one-on-one anymore because I'm running the company. But when I had one-on-one clients, and I still do coaching in different ways, I tell them like, yeah, it's gonna be really weird at first. Like, you are going to be uncomfortable. You are going to do this. You are going to do that. And I think people end up giving up when their expectations don't meet their reality. I really think
Exactly.
that's when people give up, right? They're like,
Mhm.
"Oh, this wasn't what I thought," right? Like they start a new job, they think they're going to get this salary, it's going to be like this, and it's not, and they go, "I want to quit." But what if you're like, "Hey, this probably is going to be a little rough. This, it's going to be challenging. Like I know, I'm ready. I'm bracing myself for it, right?" And it's always more painful when you don't get a brace. And so I think having those realistic expectations and conversations with yourself, right? If you don't have an awesome coach like Riley, where they can walk you through that mindset, you got to do it on your own. And I think if you're not prepared, it will chew you up and spit you out a little bit, right? You'll go to the gym, you'll be super icky and uncomfortable emotionally. You'll feel like everybody's watching you. You'll feel stupid because you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, whatever. And then you won't go, because why would we seek that feeling again? And here's the hardest thing about fitness. I'm not going to sugarcoat it at all. You have to get through hundreds of days, honestly, of feeling that way. Maybe not hundreds, but like a few months until you're like actually start to see some physical progress. And for some people, that is not worth the trade off. Now, I would say if your expectation was, hey, it's going to take a few, like if you knew that, then when you decide and you start to take action, you're like, oh, this is normal. This is part of the process. Oh, when I do cardio, I should feel like I'm going to die and I'm out of breath. Oh, okay. It's not as bad. And so setting those expectations, but if you don't have those internal conversations, that dialogue in your head, it's challenging, because the ultimate
Mhm.
goal is being confident in your fitness. Like you said, when you're traveling, when you're on vacation, and to toot our own horn a little bit, we do a very good job of that. And part of the reason we work with our clients for 12 months, and part of the reason the whole calendar year, is because every month is probably a little bit different, right? We work with a lot of first responders, different schedules. They have kids, holidays, vacations. And what we see is people that do like quick programs, dogging all of them, but like you don't learn the confidence in every season. You're confident until you travel. You're confident until you go to a new place. You're confident until, and all those untils is you falling off the wagon, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes you can't just jump back on. And so we want to get you confident in every situation, because if you are, you're like, yeah, it doesn't matter. Like I'm a fit person. This, people say, oh, it's a lifestyle change. No, no, it is. You change it. Now you become confident. You're a fit woman, and you just are capable. You're capable of knowing what to do when you travel. You're capable of taking charge of your nutrition instead of being victimized. Like, oh, this is happening to me. And I know you deal with that. You have some entrepreneur clients that travel and whatever. And I know you've gone through a process where um, they've felt like, oh, well, when I travel, I'm like, and I say victimized, or like, it just happens to me. So walk us through that process. Cause I know nutrition's a big portion. Like, in that specific thing, people that travel or maybe have changing schedules, what's the confidence shift you see there?
I think the confidence shift is like you were saying, like you're confident until you move gyms. You're confident until you go on vacation. I think the biggest shift is a lot of times we have a perfectionist mindset.
Mm,
This perfectionist environment and everything going smoothly and exactly the way that we want it to be. And that's just not the reality. And I think it's once we start to understand to not confuse consistency with trying to be perfect, that's another big shift because a lot of times we are in our environment, we have our normal routine, everything's going perfect, and then flip the script, we're on vacation now because we have a work conference. Now I don't have my perfect routine. Now I don't
yeah,
have my environment, so I can't have that perfectionist plan. So lose progress, let go of everything. It's kind of that perfectionist idea of showing up and then quitting once you go on vacation. But it's the mindset shift that's different, that there's a difference in an all in mindset versus an all or nothing mindset. An all
100%.
or nothing mindset is perfectionist mindset when you're in that comfort of your normal routine at home with your gym, and then now you have work to travel and now it's nothing. So it's 100 to 0%. I always say I rather see you have 1 week where it's 80% and now you're on your work vacation, let's say it's like 40%. That is an all in mindset. That shows you that you're not going to make progress and then lose it. You're going to continue to make progress because you're showing up in some way, shape, or form. And consistency, we all know, is where that success comes out of.
Yeah. Yeah. That's powerful. And ladies, it's a numbers game, right? She just said it right there. I mean, think about it. If you're like, okay, there's 12 months in a year, I'm going to really, really save a ton of money. I'm going to save as much as I can 3 months out of the year. Or I'm going to save like a decent amount every month. I'm going to save like moderate every month. Like, what's more, right? You put 110% effort, 120% in 1 month, right? Keto all month. I'm going to burn myself out. And 10% next month, that's 130%. Or you could do 75 and 75. That's 150%, right? Like, mentally, what's more sustainable? What's more long term? It's literally just a numbers game when it comes to the consistency. And yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people, I don't know if it's more men and women. For me, I think I've seen both sides for sure. The all or nothing mindset. I think women can tend to be a little more hard on themselves, right? Um, but yeah, the all or nothing mindset will kill you, right?
Mhm.
Like, there's no end game for fitness. Like, there's not. You don't win. Um, is there an end goal where you're like, I've achieved it? Sure, but now you got to maintain it till you die, which is still part of the game. It's more maybe the fun part, but it still has its own challenges, right? Life happens and things happen, and that's why people lose weight. And they're like, yeah, I used to be in great shape, but then, oh, the but then is life. So the maintenance is actually a little more challenging than you think. But the reason that maintenance is more challenging than you think is because of the all or nothing mindset. If you had a mindset where you're like, right, just all in, I'm all in, and I'm moldable and adaptable, I'm a little bit fluid. It's the same. I think it's kind of the same thing with boundaries, right? Some
Mhm.
people set boundaries and they're like this, and it's just like such a hard line, and that's fine. There's certain things where you want really really strict boundaries in your life, but I've noticed the older I've got that like having some flexible boundaries, like there's limits, but being a little bit more fluid makes it way easier to adapt to all types of things, relationships, finances, um, all types of stuff. And if you're carrying that over, and I've talked to women that will admit, yeah, I'm kind of see that in my life. Like I'm kind of an all or nothing type person. And that's
Mhm.
pretty detrimental to fitness. Like,
Mhm.
those are the people that start and stop and buy all the workout shake and all the cute clothing and then don't do anything, or buy the workout equipment and don't do anything.
Yeah.
Um, and so, you can be a confident woman in the gym. Maybe right now you're like, there's no way I'm overweight. I look disgusting in what I wear. No, just no, no, no. It can happen, but you have to understand that like it's a journey. And if you want it, and I'm guessing most women and men want to be confident in the gym, you have to understand that like it is a process. It is something to where it's not going to happen overnight, but that's always why I tell people to have a support system. Like I'm a big fan of coaching. You may say, well, yeah, you own a coaching business. No, 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 not just fitness, all types of coaching. I have coaching and mentorship in every area of my life, literally every area of my life, because I know I need support. I'm a pretty capable person, but I want people that are more capable. And I know the journey is going to be hard and I have realistic expectations. And because I expect it to be hard, I'm stocking up, right? Like I'm getting all the ammo that I need because I know the journey is going to be challenging and I don't want to be hit and then be like, "Oh my gosh," and then try to keep my head afloat. I want to be prepared. And I think that's where the mentorship comes through. I guess the last thing, Riley, is, if you could give like, a little spew of advice to the women listening to this on like what they should do, where they should start. Cause maybe they want to lose 20, 30, 40, 60 pounds and they don't know like what exercise to do or what workouts or how to eat. Like, where would you tell them to start?
I mean, of course, I'm gonna say a coach, but other,
Yeah.
other than that, I would say just start moving your body. Like the best thing to do is just start moving your body in some way, shape, or form. That's gonna get some momentum. But obviously, I think coaching is gonna be number one because just like through this whole entire call, I'm sure you gained so much about it's not just the action, it's so much more on a deeper level with your subconscious, your beliefs, your mindset, reflection, self-honesty. Like there's a lot into it that is going to get you to where you want to be, and sometimes, most times, you do need that other person that is going to get you into that direction, because if you're not there yet, that's why you're not having those conversations already with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the action, and I know maybe you're listening to this, and I mean, I think the title probably says mindset. You're like, but tell me what to eat, but tell me what exercise to do. And that matters. That's all super important. But like, if you know that, but your mindset's not fixed, you're going to struggle. I think that if you had a good mindset, but you didn't know as much, you'd do better, which would come to the conclusion that mindset's more important. I do believe that. Um,
Mhm.
and it's more long term, right? Like you have to get past those mental barriers. And Riley said it, I think coaching is great, but if not, start moving your body, start doing something. And I will say this too. Um, I don't want to dive very far into this, but like nutrition for most women is where I see a lot of the progress. I know Riley works really heavily with her women on nutrition, and only because that has a huge part in body composition. Movement's super important. Do it. You want to talk about your mental health? You have a little depression, a little anxiety, a little low confidence. Go work out. You'll feel good. Like you'd be like, right. Like that's a win. But beyond that, like focus on your nutrition. Don't do any crazy crash diet. Just clean things up. You're an adult. You're grown. Okay. You know the things you're doing that you're like, okay. Probably shouldn't have like the Sour Patch Kids at night. Probably should chill on the tequila. Like, I mean, those big things, right? If you have a glass that has rocks, sand, water, smaller granules of sand, like you pull out the rocks first, okay? Like that's going to give you the most space. So, focus on those areas in your life. You'd be surprised how many people we've worked with that are like, I just cut out these two things. And that we're like, not like, oh, I don't do carbs anymore. I'm not saying that. Like, I was having, French fries every day and Coca-Cola, or hey, I stopped drinking on the weekends. And like these little things that might are maybe a hard decision make a huge difference. You lose 20 pounds. Are you going to be more confident? Yeah. You're wearing, your size, whatever jeans versus what you're wearing now. Or maybe you have something tucked away in the back of the closet and you're like, I would love to wear you, but like off limits. Like go towards that, right? Because those are the things that are going to make you feel like you have a win. And then maybe have more confidence in the gym. But I will say, I do validate maybe that you are low confidence right now and you don't know what to do. And that's why I say getting a coach. But then literally any area in your life, if you're like, I have no idea how to buy a home. You don't like go get your real estate license and sell yourself a home. You find an agent that like has been doing it and you ask them questions because they're the expert. And instead of like taking and wasting your time finding out every nuance about real estate, you can ask somebody that's been doing it for 15 years. I
Mhm.
would. So that's the power. That's like a form of coaching, right? That's a form of like bought wisdom, because you got to pay for good people's time. But like, hey, you're better, this more, and I don't know, so can you help me? And women are usually better at asking for help than men sometimes. But yeah, definitely going that route would be a good thing. And I've seen your confidence improve, right? I see it all the time. And I know you guys aren't in the group, but every week we see Coach Riley posting her women's wins, getting their first pull up, down weight, fitting in dress sizes, confidence in nutrition. Like it's pretty awesome. So if you guys are interested, here's my plug. You can go to our website. It's thepursuithp.com. Or you can go to my Instagram is probably the easiest way. Actually, you can go to our Pursuit Instagram. It's pursuit_HP on IG. Or you can go to mine, which is Stefan Coons _fit. Or tell them yours, Riley.
Mine is grind and then a period and period align.
Grind, period, and period align. Grind and align with period.
And long.
Yeah, and long. So you can go to any of those, or even just message me on social media. That's probably where you're watching this anyways, or listening to this. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. And if you have any questions, we're here to help. We're coaches first place. It doesn't mean you have to work with us. We'd love to help you. It's a quicker path for sure. But hopefully this episode brought some information to you and inspired you a little bit to go out, be courageous, be confident, be the badass woman you can be. Cool.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Appreciate it, guys. I'll talk to you next time.